Hello, hello, hello. All right. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Adrian Alvarado. We are here at Meaning of Catholic. I'm going to be live streaming here a little bit more often. So we're going with the working title of Armada. And today we have an incredible guest. We have Connor McHugh from Plotlines. And let's start off with some prayer before we get into this review of the first episode of Knights of the Cross. All right. Patris et Filii Spiritus Sanctis. Amen. Pater noster qui es in celi, sanctificerum nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum nobis hodie et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut nos mittimus debitoribus nostris, et nos inducas in tentationem sed Amen. Mm-hmm. All right, awesome. Okay, so Connor, give me some opening thoughts. What do you think of this debut episode of this pilot?
Okay, well, first, thank you for having me on Meaning of Catholic. I'm excited, and this working show Armada. I'm very excited for you to have more live streams on Meaning of Catholic. And yeah, so it's very good episode. It's a good intro. I think you can, in some ways you can still tell that it's not, produced by a major studio, and not really in quality, but just in what they can show, if that makes sense. Don't you there's the opening is probably my favorite part, just kind of the some of the wide shots of the locations, and a little bit of battle and stuff like that. That it's kind of a very epic way to introduce it, as well as some narration and stuff like that. But you can sort of tell that we have three characters, and we're going to follow their story a little bit, and then there's sort of two sort of guest, or two smaller characters. But anyway, so it's very much within a budget. You can tell that, but it's very very well done, I guess, is the best way to say.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very privileged and very blessed, I think, to be able to follow this project for a long time. I know that you and I have both on our own channels previously interviewed the producer Austin Kelly. Shout out Austin Kelly, and I think it's from the very beginning. This has been it's been quite an undertaking, because it's an ambitious project. It is an ambitious project, not only because of the subject matter, right? Because the Crusades have to do with battle, they have to do with uh, uh, action, they have to do with all these different subjects, right? But it's also sort of difficult to tackle some of these topics, because you have to be historically accurate, right? Because that's something that I care about very deeply. I care about history, and so you have to try and be historically accurate. You also, which I really appreciate, the filmmakers and the people behind this project have been trying to make something that is authentically Catholic, right? And something that is not sort of kind of teeter-tottering. It's kind of on the fence, but it is something that is actually trying to be authentic to the theology and the mindset of the people that were living through these things, right? The protagonist of the episode is Richard the Lionheart, one of those great kings of England, and one of those Crusader kings.
He was more French than he was English.
That's what they say. His mother was French, and he French was his first language.
Yeah.
you know, sometimes people will joke around and say the best Englishman was a Frenchman. So I mean, I don't want to weigh in on this controversy, but
Sure.
because the show already is going to be a little controversial, right? When you're dealing with the Crusades, right? You're going to have people that are going to be completely against the subject matter, and then you're going to have people that are expecting something, right? Because when you have an audience, right, people who are already interested, they want to make sure that it's nerds enough, perfectly fit for many Catholic. Let's go. Yeah, Ray's right. Yeah, it's we're nerding out. We're nerding out about the Crusades. We're nerding
Definitely.
out about the show. But yeah, it's the show premiered today. Actually, it premiered on the streaming service Christian Channel, and it also premiered on on the Real Crusades history, right? Because the main historian and writer behind the show is J. Stephen Roberts, and he's had an incredible YouTube channel for
Yeah,
many years.
he wasn't credited as writer, if I'm not mistaken, though.
Yeah, yeah,
Someone else was credited as the writer.
yeah. But yeah, there you go, there you go. That's good to know. That's good to know. Yeah, yeah. Have you ever watched his content?
Yeah, I have. It it's funny. I first came across his content when he was on Brian Holdsworth's channel.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
I've been kind of a fan of his channel for a long time. But it was interesting because I first heard about it from his channel, this undertaking, and it's gone through many iterations. It's gone through a lot of evolution over time, different actors, different people kind of behind it. But it's interesting because when it comes to it, I got to see it today, and I got to see it today, and it was it met my expectations. It really did. What did you think, sort of the like what were some of the things you liked and some of the things that you didn't like about the episode?
Yeah. So I have to warm up, I think, to the knight William, and I think is it Joanna is the princess.
The
I
sister,
felt,
yeah, the sister
or
of Richard
yeah,
Lionheart.
this, yeah, sister of King Richard the Lionheart. That relationship I was slightly confused about. I'm not really sure where they're taking that. It seemed sort of anyways, it seemed without having Richard sort of there, um, like awake for most of the time, I wasn't really sure how we were supposed to be taking this romance or of some sort. Really wasn't sure about that. I wasn't sure about how historically accurate it is necessarily, but it could be. I'm not as much of an expert on the Third Crusade as much as I'd like to be, but it's just interesting. And then another thing that sort of I it's almost like I haven't decided how I feel about it. It's more like it's nothing like bad necessarily, but just the way he begins to lead his troops in some sense doesn't it almost doesn't feel like he's there truly, like they're not fully present, if that makes sense. He seems like he's kind of on his own. But anyways, the sacramental part I thought was most interesting, and the best parts were sort of the purgatory scene, his receiving of communion. I thought it was interesting also, his receiving under both kinds, which I think was historically accurate. Uh, but it was just interesting. I'd never seen uh, distribution under both kinds, kind of in the traditional mass, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I thought that was interesting, but also it wasn't a mass because he was hallucinating. I was slightly confused if he was like if it was a flashback or if he was or still sort of dreaming. So that sort of thing.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, it seems very much like everything is kind of scrunched together because it's only like 17 minutes of video of story. So in some sense, my biggest complaint is the best complaint you could possibly have, which is it's too short.
That is I think that's a good problem to have, right? You want to see more. You want to see more. As for
Yeah.
Robert's question over here, where can you watch this show? You can currently watch it. It's just premiered today on the Real Crusades History YouTube channel, and you can also watch it on thechristianchannel.com. So it just premiered today, and
You, you might want
yeah,
to put a link in
yeah,
the chat.
yeah. Let me drop it in there. But yeah, it was definitely for me. My in my opinion, I really liked it. I really liked it. I'm somebody who really likes TV shows, likes movies and stuff like that. And it's so hard to find entertainment that is like good faith entertainment, good entertainment that has to do with God and has to do with the Christian life. It's and I think the show where it really shines is that it's trying to make a show that can appeal to a different demographic, because a lot of you'll see it with a lot of shows, a lot of Christian entertainment and content, is that it can be a little kitschy, it can be a little cheesy, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it can just be really bad, because it's got bad theology, because it's got I don't know
Well,
silly
it's trying
stuff.
to it's geared towards old women for the most part.
Exactly, exactly. And this show is definitely geared towards men, so that's something that you don't often see. It's
Hmm.
it's got more of the vibe. It's got more of the feel of something like Gladiator or Braveheart. It's got something more of that sort of feel, which I think is something that a lot of people can resonate with. With that sort of take on entertainment, which I think is a smart move to make, because when you make something like that, you want to try and make something that actually is gonna be tailored towards an audience, right? Because if you make something and you try and make it sort of inoffensive, or make it something that's going to be for everybody, then it just ends up being for nobody. Uh, so I think that's one of the sort of the shining parts of the show. Um, yeah, we got Tobias over here. Yes, it is viewable now. I'm going to be posting a link in the chat shortly. Um, so yeah, so I think also what the parts that I really enjoyed, I think, like, I agree with you, right, are definitely the sacramental parts, and I think it's purposefully mysterious. It's purposely a little vague there, because it's yeah, as a testament. I'm telling you, if the people in the chat watch it, I think they'll also resonate with it too. I think it's a very beautiful thing, right? Spoiler alert. I think it's a very beautiful thing, because it basically, he's on the brink of death. He's on the brink of death, and this is something that did happen. He got very deathly sick. He got very sick before he would engage in battle, Richard the Lionheart with Saladin, and this was an event that happened. So the filmmakers here are trying to sort of explore sort of a mysterious part here, and I think what is sort of trying to be said by that scene, that sacramental scene, is that it's almost as if like there's some sort of, it can be interpreted in many ways. It could be interpreted as he's either hallucinating because he's sick, or he's receiving a miracle, right? Because he sees Our Lady, right? He's receiving the Eucharist, and he's getting the bread of life, right? He's getting the body and blood, soul, and divinity of our Lord. So in a certain way, I think it's through this the reception of the sacrament, of the Blessed Sacrament, he's sort of being brought back to life in a very beautiful scene. And so I think that's kind of what the idea is there in that scene, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
but it appeals to me, and I think obviously, when it comes to the other characters, I think they're trying, they're trying to to keep it grounded as well, because having an episode where it's just Richard in bed, and it's all in his head, you have to move the plot somehow, right? And so I think it's good to sort of set up these characters. And so really what's trying to be done here, I think, is pique a little bit of curiosity with the viewer, so that they can make a little bit, they can make something more of the story with other future episodes. Because right now, really, they've released the episode, but they're still trying to fundraise so they can release some of these new episodes. And obviously, being low budget, there's a lot of limitations and stuff like that. But I think they did a really, 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 really good job with the effects, with everything they had available to them. I think they were able to pull off something off that really is it's a bit stylistic, like 300.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned like two big movie. Now you mentioned a third movie, but Braveheart and what was the other one you mentioned? Gladiator. So you've
Mhm.
got these big budget movies. You've got these movies that made a lot of money. So so there is a market for it. There's an obvious market for it. I did think it was actually a a bold move to go so sacramentally focused in some sense. Maybe it's just because I don't have like I can only sometimes imagine what a what is it what a daily life what a day in the life of a king looked like back then, and sometimes it's hard to tell because we have such a modern perspective on things. It's not accurate necessarily. A lot of history is sort of less less I guess less available to us,
Hmm.
because people don't teach medieval history very much anymore. So all this stuff is just kind of it's been up to our imaginations for so long. So it's interesting to see it be put into practice, I guess.
Yeah, to put into practice, and you mean by to be put on the screen? You say?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it feels, it obviously, I think it's smart to do that. I think it's smart to do something like that because again, to compare it to a different movie, right? Mel Gibson's film, the Passion, the Passion of Christ, right? It's unapologetic, right? About the about what it's about the theology that sort of informs the creator, right? That informs the filmmaker. And I think as with anything, as with any form of film or TV show or anything like that you're trying to do, I think it's smart to be authentic. I think it's smart to make something that's actually coming from within, make something that's coming from your heart, right? Because if you try and make it phony, and if you try and make it something it's not, or something that you're not really about, then it's going to show. I think it's going to show. And I think when you're earnest, I think people appreciate that more. Obviously, when it comes to this, it's good because it's appealing to a Catholic audience, and I think primarily men, right, and stuff like that. Obviously, there's not that much entertainment that's made for this demographic, and so what I think is that they're trying to do is I think they're trying to be able to find that audience and make something that appeals to this demographic, which I think is a smart move because currently, I mean, the Christian channel is really they're a streaming service. They're a streaming service for Christian Catholic content. It's not it's so it's they're trying to make their own TV show. They're trying to make their own series, their own flagship series, which
Yeah.
which is ultimately a smart move because when all the when all the content that you make, or that you receive right from streaming services is the rings of power or whatever, right? Where it's like getting some sort of good story and then making it something it's not. That's it leaves you little options, and then it leaves you little options to sort of feel comfortable supporting a streaming service or something like that. So I think having that parallel of the streaming service is ultimately a good for our community.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I still think it's so interesting for them to go so Catholic in some ways because I don't think of Real Crusades History Channel as a specifically Catholic um you know organization. I mean, it sort of is in the sense that J. Stephen Roberts is a Catholic and he makes content from his perspective and that sort of thing. But it's just interesting for it to go, so far Catholic, which is we'll see if it's draws people in because uh, Catholics are notorious for not supporting Catholic movies.
Is that so? Is that so? I don't know. I mean,
Well, I,
is that is
I
that
mean
the
they didn't fund Fatima. They didn't. They were unwilling to fund Fatima. So
the new one they made? Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, they weren't. They had to go to people that weren't Catholics to get it funded.
Yeah,
So
I mean, what I'm seeing now is that they've been fundraising this for Knights of the Cross, the series, and they've been able to fundraise, uh, enough for the pilot. Right now, they're trying to fundraise more to sort of make a nice little mini series for the subject. So, I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's up to us to prove Connor wrong. Maybe it's up to us to to break the mold, and become a little bit more steadfast, and become a little bit more, you know.
yeah, it's just it seems to me that we need a change in what uh, Catholics value in order to achieve some cultural importance again. When you only value, um, I guess, apologetics, like
Yeah,
apologetics is all that you value, you're going to run into the situation where you're just arguing with the world. And that's all you're doing is arguing with the world. You haven't created anything to draw the world in. And this type of series is something that seems very possible to draw the world in, and it's a crowd-funded thing, and it's crazy because I think that's also, in a sense, not it's not a complaint really, but a difficulty, is that this first episode is very much trying to draw you into a beginning of a story, and then it cuts you off, when you're like, oh, I want to see more, and well, we have to crowdfund so that we can see more. It's not guaranteed that we're getting a second episode, but hopefully this will really make it possible for a second episode to exist.
yeah. I mean, and hopefully this is the beginning of something new, right? Because I think in this sort of period of history that we're seeing, right? I think Catholics are finding a lot more of how to deal with the online world, how to deal with entertainment, how to deal with all these different facets of society, right? Because I think we have to be multifaceted. That's always what we've been historically, right? It's always been it's not, people aren't people aren't just, um, when we think of vocations, right? People aren't just priest or I don't know, and then whatever else, right? And there's something else, right? No, I mean, yeah, we've always had bakers, we've always had artisans, we always had craftsmen, and now we're getting more into this world, right? That what the sort of the online landscape has been sort of has always been kind of nebulous and in flow. But I think what we've seen recently is the growth of the online presence for Catholics online, right? Because and I think that's really the mission of all of us, and especially the channel Meaning of Catholic. It's
Hmm.
it's it's trying to set up different things for people to learn from, to enjoy, to be able to absorb and make part of their lives, right?
To nerd out.
To nerd out, about a TV show. So yeah, exactly. So that's really the one of the most promising things about something like this. It's an opportunity. I dropped the link in the chat too, by the way. Just just in case, to the Real Crusades History YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It really is important that this show uh, not only happens but thrives.
yeah, exactly, and it gets some support, right? Because, like you said, that's how do you gain some cultural relevance? How do you gain some cultural power, right? And some sort of currency, social currency, right? You have to support each other, and you have to sort of influence each other and be there for each other. And I think being united by the blood of Christ, right, is something that's much more strong. It's much more meaningful than being connected in other ways, right? And that's sometimes that's something that we need to remind ourselves of. We need to remind ourselves that there's a lot more, like you said, than just apologetics, right? It's great to have apologetics. We have a lot of it online. We have a lot of theology online. We have a lot of stuff like that. but I think there's really untapped markets, untapped potential for entertainment, and good entertainment that's not, kitschy and silly or completely historically inaccurate, right? Because that's something that I appreciate, right? They've tried to have the historical accuracy there from the very beginning, and so that's something that I think makes this truly special, right? And
Yeah.
it's not as if like these things have never been able to be done. I think it's just we kind of lost it. We kind of lost the plot a little bit, because back in the day, the code, right, the film code. What was that? I mean, it was the film code was basically just made by Catholics, for decency, in entertainment. And
Hmm.
what did he have? You had like the golden age of Hollywood, right? People always say, "Oh, that's silly, that's ridiculous," and stuff like that. And I remember learning about that in school. And you're tempted to say, "Oh, that's really stifling creativity and stuff like that." But when you have something that is made to be, you know respecting the decency and respecting God, you're able to find that your entertainment becomes timeless, and it can become something much more, uh, something that can reach sort of the real depths of the human heart, and so what I'm saying is that it's not as if Catholics have never been able to do that. They have, and basically they can't do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, no, it's a great opportunity. Wait, what?
It's Gandalf. We're talking about Gandalf being Tolkien. We're talking about Lord of the Rings. Is that you're saying? Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe it's what he's saying. He's saying that Lord of the Rings is really good Catholic entertainment.
Oh, yes, yes. Definitely. Yeah, no. So one of the things I was thinking about was that that the Knights of the Cross could easily be sort of the healthy version of like Game of Thrones kind of thing. Like Game of Thrones, as I've kind of said, the world there is the medieval world without Christ, with that Christ never came to. This is based, and then this is obviously the world where Christ did come. So, so this is basically, I'd love to see more like politics in the upcoming series. I'd love to see more of that drama type of
Yeah,
thing. Uh,
yeah,
this is just such a very uh, very small episode, and very much literally it's kind of like everything happens in one room for the most part.
yeah.
So
It's it, and it's something to pique interest. I
mhm.
think yeah.
Yeah, it will be really good to see it widen
Yeah,
and
the
really get.
scope. Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
right on the cusp. It's right on the cusp of an epic battle, right, with Saladin. So it's sort of setting up something, very very exciting. And I think, when it comes to this stuff, you don't authenticity will always appeal, even to people who aren't, uh, you know Christian, Catholic, whatever. If you make something that's good, and you make something that is true to the sentiment of the people that live there, you're gonna get people that appreciate it for what it is, right? You're always gonna get entertainment. I've you know I've seen many people become really big fans of historical TV shows, right? And these TV shows are, they're not focused on anything raunchy or anything, anything like that, but they just are trying to represent a period in an authentic way. And I think people appreciate that because it's novel, right? It's novel. I think
Hmm.
I think novelty, even for somebody who's atheist, anybody who's whatever, right? If you're looking for entertainment, you're looking for something different, just even on a plot level, right? If your characters are always brooding, and they're always like, super self-aware, or they're like, kind of um, like relativistic about everything, then that gets boring, right? Because it's just the same. It's just the same thing, except
Yeah.
you're putting it in some some fantasy world, or you're putting it in a sci-fi world, or you're putting it in the Wild West, whatever, right? But if you have the same stuff going on, the same thing always in every single TV show, that just gets stale. Sometimes you just want a little bit of something different. You want a different perspective, right? You want to say, how did people, like, how did other human beings throughout, like, the world, like, see reality and understand the things around them? That in and of itself is super interesting for a lot of people, and even people who are not into history or into faith or into that stuff, right? So you're always going to get people that are drawn just for the sake of something that's weird or different or whatever, So
Mhm. Yeah. Also, you said it about science fiction. I mean, science fiction is literally people trying to or wanting a different setup, looking at how different people live, and that his history is kind of very much a similar setting. It feels, depending on how far you go back, sometimes in if you treat it right, it does feel like it's completely different from the world that you're from. So there's always going to be that interest level of, oh, how did these people live? And
exactly. I mean, for modern man to, like, view Christendom and view Christendom in, like, in an authentic way, it might as well be a different planet. It might as well be, it's like you're in a different, galaxy.
yeah,
And I
well,
think, yeah.
in some ways we're trying to make a different galaxy or a different world. What,
Mhm.
like, what we're trying to make a we're trying to make the church is Christ on earth. The church is the sanctified world. So basically it has to be different than it already is, otherwise you haven't accomplished anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's transformative, right? In the proper sense of the word. And I think when you have people that are larger than life, like Richard the Lionheart, these people will always be difficult to sort of understand for the regular person, even the person living in Christendom, because these people are, like, those people, for lack of a word, like those great men of history, right? Those people that really make a difference. And even if the world isn't profoundly changed, right? Their impact is one that is sort of mythical in status, right? They become larger than themselves, right? They'll become larger than the sum of their parts, and so that's always going to be interesting to view the perspective, view the mind of these characters in history.
Yeah. It it's so cool also to sort of take back the view of certain historical characters that have been manipulated for political and modern purposes to mean different things. So, and they really are. They're sort of there's moments in the show where you actually see flashes of young Richard and young Prince John, which I thought is interesting that they're sort of setting them up as, you know, as polar opposites, which I think hopefully gets explored more in the future.
Yeah, there's a lot of breadcrumbs that are being put, with the sister, with the brother. I think the upcoming battle, sort of the dynamic that he had with his father. There's a lot of interesting things that are being explored there, and I think, even in the first episode, we're seeing that, like a little bit of it, like a little bit of progression in the character, because I think maybe what he did there is he was trusting more in the Lord in that moment. And I think it just I think that's always kind of the good thing, right? Because when it comes to good entertainment, you don't need a lot of things to be happening necessarily. You don't I don't need you to be going from, place to place to place to place to whatever, like that, because sometimes that can get, a little breakneck.
Well, also
It,
just it lessens your interest in the place you're currently at, because
Exactly.
you know you're going to be at a different place very
Exactly.
quickly.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of kind of having a little bit of of a slow kind of burn, because not everything can just be so in your face immediately.
Yeah.
Things need to sort of have to things should be able to a story should be able to sort of build up gradually, and I think that the best stories do have that because they build intrigue and they have something they're going there. Shout out to the traditional Thomist. Let's go.
I get a little antsy, so I need to I need to tell myself patience. Calm down. Don't get too excited about this. You can wait. I think I'm really stuck on the binging type of structure of things. So it's sort of to have to wait in this manner is a little off putting, but you know.
Yeah, and I think that's the mark of something that's being done well, right? Because it's history. You could just read the historical account, and if you really want,
That's too
right?
much work, Adrian. Come on.
But no, but
We're
what
on
I'm kind
YouTube. We don't nobody has time, or,
of
then you have
I
to find the right book. That's hard, actually. To be honest, that actually is kind of hard to find the right book by the right author with the best way of telling the story.
yeah, and I think what makes it special is that you if you have good people at the helm of something, they make it more they make it their own in a good way, and they build up something that you want to see more of, right? Because you know again to do it again, right? To say it again, right? At its best, right? I think of the Passion, right? Yes, we have so many ways to experience, to read, to learn of the Passion. But I think besides the scriptures, right, the Passion is very special because it you can see that you can really kind of delve into something deeper and kind of experience it deeper if it's done in the right way by the right people, right? I think that's what that's sort of what they're trying to go for here.
Yep, definitely. Um, anyway, so do you think we'll get a chance to see sort of um, Templars or Hospitallers in the show?
That would be extremely exciting. That would be extremely exciting. I mean, I hope so. I hope so. That I guess that really depends on how if people are willing to support, and are willing to be a little bit active in their support of these filmmakers. I think that's up to us. I think that's up to all of us, right? If we want to see
Sure.
more of this.
But like,
Um,
if you had to think about it, just like where would you predict that they're going with it necessarily in the future, just based on the first episode? Because I'm having trouble like telling you like where I think it's going.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, do you want me to do you want me to spoil the history? Do you want to spoil
So like, I mean, my thought process is that yes, there's history that you can obviously follow suit, but that doesn't mean they're going to like show everything. So it's more like, what do you think they're gonna highlight?
I mean they're trying to explore the Battle of Jaffa. I think that's what they're trying to do, right? They're building up to it, and I think let's say what I would like to see. I would like to see the battle, right? I would like to see the knights there. I would like to see the Mohammedan Muslim forces as well, and I'd like to see how they explore the dynamic between Saladin and between Richard the Lionheart. Saladin was a very formidable force. He was one of the best sort of military leaders of the Muslim world, even historically. And ultimately, Saladin is going to be sort of the the demise of the Crusaders. Not not in the immediate sense, not in the final sense, but he's just brutal and he's just difficult, and he just makes life for all of the Christians very, very difficult, and sort of contest the borders begin to become more defined because of Saladin, and there's many different ways you could do it. You could immediately end it. You could go battle, and then it's Richard negotiating with Saladin, stuff like that, and maybe there's some nice sort of interplay, some character dynamic there between like a Christian leader and a Muslim leader, and sort of like that classic scene that people want to see, where it's these are competing faiths, and so that maybe there's going to be some sparring, maybe there's going to be some mutual respect in some way, or maybe there's going to be enemies. I don't know, right? But
They never met though, right? In person.
well, I mean, basically,
Or did they?
basically, there was a peace deal that needed to be made, right? And so, I believe they did. I believe they would have had to come to this accord.
I don't know why I think they don't, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So when it comes to it, I'd like to see some character dynamics, like to see some action. That's kind of what I would like to see, or maybe they'll explore some of the aftermath, for the Crusaders, and kind of what it is to end a battle of like that, a defining battle like that. So there's some different places they can take this sort of story, and so I'm interested to see where they will, and kind of what they'll focus on, and what the focus will be for the characters involved.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting how they characterize Richard further than just his faith. Kind of like how they do that. What the small scenes look like.
Exactly, yeah, because that's something that defines, right, not the characters, right? Sometimes the things we remember from characters are small moments, like you're saying, right? Sometimes it's not the biggest things they did, but sometimes sort of the small little relatable moments, for lack of a better word, right? Some of these things that are very lasting in our imaginations, in our minds. Yeah. So really, yeah, it's kind of up to us. It's kind of up to us, kind of where this will go. I am hoping to see a lot more. I'm excited. I like the first episode. I saw it. I was very lucky to see it before the final master of all the effects, and it's I will say very, very much night and day. The before and after. So definitely props to the effects team and the everyone involved. Clearly, there was a lot of effort put in, a lot of love, and I like to see that in anything. So that's always good to see.
Yeah, what did it look like before?
So yeah, basically, there's a lot of effort that's been put in by the VFX teams. A lot of the stuff that's done, is really cool, because they've made environments in Blender. They made environments in other different other sort of apps. I'm not sure if Blender specifically, but a lot of really, I've kind of kept up with the behind the scenes of it, and seeing the people making these cathedrals and stuff like that are this digital set, really. And so you have the actor in this digital set, so it's not just like a flat thing. It's like a dynamic I think of like a miniature, right? But it's kind of like a digital miniature that you scale up, and you make this this incredible thing. So you can really just customize every single aspect of it. Yeah, the columns, the stained glass, the lighting. You have to make sure things are dynamic, so that that your actors that are not in that environment will be synced up and look like they're in the environment. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of the stuff that's involved in that process to make sure that things look more seamless, and to make sure that things are actually uh, syncing up as they should, with the lighting and with the scale and all that stuff.
Yeah. The like the was it Richard leading his forces at the end when when he yells fight like lions. Thought that was interesting. I had never really heard exactly where Lionheart comes from, where the term Lionheart comes from, like whether or not we added it far later or if it was something of that time period. So it's just interesting if it would make sense if given his fight like lions, like that might be and I think his sister calls him the Lionheart, that it must have been something contemporary, but otherwise it's sort of an addition, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, when it comes to some of these things, it's I know that the in French it would have been Coeur de Lion or something like that. I apologize for my for my bad French. I think his official title was just Richard the First of England.
Sure.
When it comes to that, but we as of any historical figure, we start to add the great, or we start to add Magnus or something like that to some of these historical figures, depending on how influential or good they are, in
Hmm.
history.
Yeah, makes sense. um but yeah, no, I think it's just really important that we support this work. I hope everyone goes to watch it for themselves, and really consider, if they think it's good, then support it, and that sort of thing. It will be very interesting to see how this unfolds. It's kind of like the fiction, well, historical fiction version of the Mask of the Ages.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely the same spirit behind it, right? Because Math of the Age is precisely documentary. You know, it's this incredible undertaking by dedicated people, really just starting completely independently, right? Because
Hmm.
because that's exactly what this undertaking by the Christian Channel is, right? It's an independent thing, right? They want it to be independent of studios that would be sort of putting their little fingers in there and changing the look, the feel, the messaging, the morality of it. Because yeah, you can get a lot of money for a project. You can get quite a lot of money for a project from a studio, but then you're sort of taking the quote unquote soul out of the show, right? Because
Definitely.
you can lose the original intention of a program by doing that. So that's really the purpose of having it be crowdfunded, precisely like a Master of the Ages. And I think it remains to be seen. Hopefully, it can gain an audience so that it can have that effect like Master of the Ages, because Master of the Ages came out the first episode, and then it's kind of a snowball effect, right? That's kind of the idea that you want to kind of have with some of these things.
Yeah, we'll see how if it becomes as big of a as big of a entity. I mean, it is being released on on a pretty big channel. I mean, even like Mass of the Ages doesn't, like, their YouTube channel doesn't have that many subscribers. I mean, uh, Real Crusades History has like something like 200,000 something
Yeah, it's
subscribers.
it's it's big. It's big. Yeah, for sure. And
Hmm.
I think he's built up a great reputation over time for historical accuracy, and that's his show as well. So that's really, I think, yeah. I saw it. I liked it, and
Yep.
I hope to see more. That's really like the what is it, like the little thing you got to post on the poster. This is 5 out of 5. I saw it. I want to see more.
Yeah, I often critical, but this is it was very good, and I'm just looking forward to more.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. It gives a good dynamic here. You're like the Simon Cowell of the of this of the show.
there has to be some critical nature of it, you know. Otherwise, we'll get boring. Come on.
That's why you're on. That's why you're on. That's why you're on.
Mm.
Exactly. But it's yeah. So I'll yeah. So the link is in the chat. I'll try and put it in a comment as well. Yeah, definitely check it out. Let us know what you think in the comments as well. You know, and this is a review right here, so let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Connor, do you want to plug anything? You have anything you wanna talk about?
Nothing big coming up yet on plot lines, but just if you want to hear more from me, go over to plot lines on YouTube and subscribe.
There you go. Subscribe to Plotlines. He's got an incredible repertoire of guests on his channel. I've been very grateful to see some of it, and you know, it's good stuff. It's good stuff for sure. As for me, I run Bori Chamo. That's my personal channel. You see it in the name tag over here. You see it in the name tag, and you know, I'm also I've also was very lucky to go a little bit ago to a pontifical high mass that Cardinal Burke was celebrating, and so I posted an article about that on 1 Peter 5, and the full sermon has also been posted. And just today on 1 Peter 5's YouTube channel, that I made a video, a summary about that as well, and that got posted today. So very
Awesome.
very happy, and it was cool. Yeah, he was talking about TC. He was talking about Tristos Custodes. So you know, a little bit of hot take there. Yeah. There we go. So we have some Catholic Jedi, and we have Sentinel of Fortune over here saying that they would purchase this on DVD, or they would want to see this on DVD. Well, the good thing is that you can see it on YouTube right now, so you don't necessarily need to buy it on DVD. But hopefully, you know, as these things progress, maybe they're able to provide something like that for
Yeah,
people
I
who are
don't know if
interested.
people sell things on DVD, or like I don't know if that's where things are going. Like,
Well, yeah, yeah. It's from the moment it's only on the pilot episode is only on the Real Crusades History YouTube channel, and also on the ChristianChannel.com, which is the streaming service that they're starting up, and they've been doing it for a bit, and they're trying to make this their flagship series, right? That's really what they're trying to do. They're trying to make original content, right, like Netflix does, like Disney Plus or whatever, right? And it's not. It's not something that's going to be for lack of a better word, cringe or whatever, you know. That's that's kind of
it's based.
it's based, it's real, it's based 100%. So yeah, okay, well, it was a pleasure to have you on here on the Meaning of Catholic. Okay, que viva Cristo Rey. Everyone have a good night. Take care.